Hey everybody, welcome back to this new old house. I'm your host, Holy Joe Rock and Roll. Today we're going to make a do-it-yourself Murphy bed for a bed mattress that is 80 centimeters by 200 centimeters. These are the plans that I cut out originally. They aren't perfect, but it could be a good start for you. Now, the first part of this build was to actually cut out what we would call the left and right inside frame holders for the mattress. And I don't have a table saw, and you can see this build is being done with a few hand tools and a few electric tools, and that's it. The other builds that built this obviously had table saws, and they had air dart guns and all that kind of stuff. This is maybe a much simpler, maybe a little bit harder, because I don't have those tools here. And also it's a modification. The other builds that this is based on, you might prefer them, but those took a lot more time and maybe a lot more effort, and certainly a lot more materials. Here I am cutting the board through the middle. You'll see that the piece that we're cutting out, it's 16 by 16 centimeters at the end, and then it's 8 centimeters long. And after we cut this, we realized that it should have been 16 centimeters longer, but it worked out fine. Once we made the cuts, we sanded them down. These edges from the rips were pretty rough. By the way, everything was 18 millimeter thick plywood, except for the frame. Excuse me. In the frame, we were planning to also use the plywood, but we ran out of materials. This is all coming from a single sheet of plywood that was 250 centimeters by 125 centimeters. This platform that you're seeing is actually the 80 centimeter bed bottom where the mattress will sit. These frames on the side, as you can see, these sort of L-shaped frames, the L part is where the seat swivels is going to go to actually allow the bed to swivel in and out of the wall. Pardon me. Now, the hardest part of this, because I'm in Poland, was getting these seat swivels. Allegro, which is sort of the Polish eBay, had some seat swivels, but they were for tractors, and they were $50 each. These are $7.80 something on Amazon, but Amazon wanted $60 to ship them to Poland. I wound up buying 4 of them. A friend of mine picked them up, took them to Chicago, and mailed them from a Polish shipper. He mailed them airmail. Excuse me. Took about 2 weeks for $40. So I wound up spending about, $17 per seat swivel. I only needed 2, but from Amazon I had to buy 4 in order to make the minimum $25 order. So that's kind of the background of this project. Here we are. What do we do here? Drilling some holes. This is going to be the headboard or the board that's going to hold the mattress so that it doesn't fall into the cabinet. That gets mounted on there. And by the time we had done this part, the battery on the camera had died, and it was about 1 hour and 4 minutes to get through this part. Not too bad. The whole build took about 2 days, or over the course of 2 days, we were able to complete this. That L bracket you can see is going to go on that right side, and we'll have another L bracket on the other side. What else is going on here? Oh yeah, I'm drilling the pilot holes for the seat swivels, which everybody recommended that you use these T-nuts, like salty nuts. I don't know. The T-nuts are fine for hardwood, but because the frame is going to be pine, it's not. I think we could have used the T-nuts with bolts, longer bolts, and we may have to ultimately go back and make the bolts bigger. Here you can see one side is set up and the headboard is set up, or the footboard, whatever you want to call it. This is the end that's going to swivel on these boat seat swivels, which cost about $7 less than $8 on Amazon, and I believe they are made in America. I could be wrong. Definitely you can get some that are made in China, but these American-made ones look a lot better, look a lot higher quality. Here we are the next day. We had finished the inner frame, and now the challenge is to get these seat swivels in place on these T-nuts and to put the frame on. Now, in other builds you saw these guys do it by themselves. It was, I guess, I don't know, there's just not enough room, and they built it a little bit differently using some smaller framing materials. But anyhow, this worked out. I needed the help of my son. He definitely helped me out. It was really good to work with him to put this together. Here we are. We can see that we got one side of the swivel just about put on. That's in place. You have to kind of turn it at a 45-degree angle or 90-degree angle to get access to each of the bolts. This is actually the underside of the bed mattress holder right there, which you're looking at, sitting on the chair. Now the next part, or the hardest part, was getting this other side on here. I don't know why it was so much harder. I think it was because it was a little bit closer to this bookshelf. It was difficult. We wound up turning it around, flipping it over, trying to work it from on the top. The T-nuts popped out because they're just held in by like little teeth. But I think it's going to be fine. We may replace the bolts that we use that are going through from the inside out. I think we'll put bolts from the outside in with a nut on the inside, if that makes sense, if there's any issues. But so far there's been no issues. You can see the T-nuts are a little bit loose here. This is the bottom of the frame. Now, my calculations initially were too small for the bottom. The bottom needed to be a little bit, the sides needed to be wider than I anticipated. I thought I could get by with 16 centimeters, but really needed more like 24 centimeters for this to work. So we got the bottom on, and then now we're measuring the width. It should be 93 centimeters. It came out to be around 93 centimeters wide. This is the back framing. I know it's hard to see here. You can't really see everything, but we're attaching these back frame boards that hold up the back. Now here it is up. It's moving. It's working. Pretty excited. It's in the wrong position right here. It's backwards, so we need to rotate it around. But it is working, as you can see. Now we rotate it around, put it in position. It's up against my server rack, which it was later on attached to it. Here's the bed. Whoa, that was too fast. Here's the bed, how it looks when it's folded down. And it just swings up. There is a 6 centimeter ledge or footrest. There it is, folded up. The only thing left to do is really to stain it and seal it. I also drilled holes through the side to hold it in place. I thought it might stay up by itself, but it's not. It's too heavy, and it's a little bit front heavy, and this will swing forward if you don't lock it in place. Now, it is not, I don't have edging, hiding everything, but there it is, open, and my son loves it. It's working great. A lot of big safe space saver. So I hope you enjoyed this build. Do it yourself, Murphy bed. I'm Holy Joe Rock and Roll, and thank you for watching this new old house.